If you can't make Max's legs hurt, no matter how many times you kick him, he's just like the bionic human. That makes it pretty difficult to beat him, considering that at distance boxing, he's going to be better than basically everyone. So I intended on using this Kamaru clip, Kamaru's thoughts on the Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway fight much later in the video. It's kind of going to be the way that I was going to end the video. But this video about Justin Gaethje's family and the aftermath of the knockout, them being there, the video of their reaction got so heavy filming this that I'm like, I can't put anything after that, dude. So I'm going to open this with what Kamaru said about the fight, because we can get into kind of some semantics around the fight and X's and O's, talk about that, and then get into kind of like the much heavier stuff, which before I filmed it, I did not anticipate how heavy that was going to be to watch and what my reaction to it was going to be, because I hadn't seen, there's a video of Gaethje's family, immediately upon Gaethje getting knocked out. And I was like, I haven't watched it, so I'm going to watch it with you guys. I had to cut a lot of it out. But anyway, so that we don't start on some super dark note, I would prefer to do the kind of this part first, talk about Kamaru's thoughts on the fight, and then we'll go to the much, 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 much heavier part of the video afterwards. So let's watch what Kamaru said to Triple C about the fight. The very beginning, I'm sorry, I cut this off, but the very first thing he's talking about is Gaethje's nose being broken. So let's watch that, and then we'll talk about that.
Not in the fight, because now you can't breathe the way you want to breathe in that fight. And on top of that, we have to see the 2 eye pokes. I mean, they were clear-cut, legit eye pokes. And it wasn't that Max was doing it maliciously or on purpose. They happened. And these are the type of things that can alter the outcome of a fight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and what he's saying is obviously correct in terms of like, yeah, he's got a broken nose. It makes it, you can't breathe through your nose if it's broken like that, right? And also, if you get poked in the eye, it can affect your ability to see. And nothing that he's saying is untrue. But he's Justin's like best friend, dude, and training partner. So like, of course, he's gonna say like, look, man, he got poked in the eye and he got his nose broken. But it's like, okay, look, you have to acknowledge that the way he got his nose broken was Max Holloway did a spinning back kick that hit him in the nose. Like the fight game is destruction derby, except instead of cars, you're using the human body. So if Max was responsible for the nose break, then, it's using that point is the same as like if Max did a spinning back kick and knocked Justin unconscious, and you're like, listen, man, it's hard to fight when you're unconscious. It's like, right, but that's like the end of the fight. You know what I mean? So like the nose being broken is not a valid reason to like push back on any kind of outcome. And eye pokes are different because it's not legal and it's an accidental thing that affects your ability to see. The nose being broken, yes, of course it's hard to fight not being able to breathe out of your nose, but it's not like a valid reason that you could kind of push back. Oh, well, listen, I don't know if Max would have won had he not, done a perfect technique that broke my, training partner's nose. The eye pokes are different, obviously, and it's I don't know if ironic is the right word, but given that Trevor Whitman is the one with the gloves that, would theoretically prevent the eye pokes from happening, it's kind of like as soon as those happen, that's exactly what I was saying in the crowd. I'm like, man, this is, I don't know if irony is the right word, but, that sucks because Justin and Trevor Whitman have been campaigning to get those, curled finger gloves in the UFC for a long time. And every time that I bring this up, I have people say to me, they're like, dude, that you can't grapple in those. And I'm like, really? Okay, so what's your evidence for that? And they're like, just think about it. And I'm like, okay, well, so that's what I assumed also. But then I did the next layer of, whatever, which is I asked people if that's true who have used the gloves, specifically Anthony. I asked Anthony Smith if that, I'm like, so do those gloves, inhibit your ability to grapple or do anything? Anthony's a black, obviously, like a super black belt in jiu-jitsu. If they are inhibiting your ability to grapple, there's no reason why he would pretend that they don't. He said they do not at all. They do not inhibit your ability to grapple. There is no reason not to use them. They don't affect your ability to grapple. And people like I've gotten into it with people and they're like, of course it does, dude. Think about trying to stand up if you blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, just because they default your fingers to here doesn't mean that you can't go like this if you make effort. It just defaults them here, right? Like, so like, I mean, listen, I've never put them on. But if Anthony says that it doesn't hurt your ability to grapple, I assume what that means is that it just takes a little bit of effort to kind of flatten them. And but if you're just putting your hand out, You know, like if you're just putting your hand out or whatever. I mean, listen, dude, I don't argue with people who clearly know better than me. Someone who's put on the gloves and is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, I'm not going to argue with them if they say that it doesn't affect the ability to grapple. But I do think that the thing about the nose break is a little bit of a cope, but I would expect that from someone who is my best friend and, my training partner, of course. But Max is the one who kicked his nose. So that's not that's not like a relevant point. But again, the eye pokes are, who knows if it would have made any difference. Max looked like he clearly had a great game plan. And if you can't make Max's legs hurt, no matter how many times you kick him, he's just like the bionic human. That makes it pretty difficult to beat him, considering that at distance boxing, he's going to be better than basically everyone. If you can't take away his leg when he's heavy on that front leg, then how are you going to beat this guy unless you're just way faster, more? Only person that's ever really gotten the better than him is Volkanovski, and he just looked way faster in the third fight. First two fights, I thought Max definitely won the second one. I thought the first one was so close. I thought Max won 1 and 2. But they were obviously razor close. But then in the third one, that was decisive, and Volkanovski fought a much better fight. You assume that Holloway's slowing down, and that clearly has not been the case. But how are you going to beat him if you can't chop his front leg down? You know what I mean? Now, when you're a content creator and you've been to a live show and you have not seen the event on television, the first thing that you're thinking about is like, what can I share with viewers that they wouldn't have known had they not been live at the show? And simultaneously, what did I not see by not seeing it on TV? And one of the main things that you never know if you're watching at home is what the aftermath of serious knockouts are. Like, you just never see it. I've talked about this a million times on the channel, but for those of you who have never heard me talk about it, I will share this again because we're going to talk about Gaethje after the Max knockout. We'll look at the knockout again, and I have not watched this yet. So I saw this video, heartbreaking footage of Gaethje's parents reacting to him getting KO'd, and this plays right into what I was already going to do my video about today, but I haven't watched it yet. Obviously, what I mean is his parents' reaction. I've seen the knockout a million times. We're going to watch that again in this video too. There's a reason to talk about this because I think it very much speaks to the stakes of what we're watching as fans, right? Because this is the highest stakes sport there has ever been. And the thing that you do not see when you watch at home ever is the true aftermath of the person who was on the wrong side of the knockout. And I mean that in that the broadcast is focused on the winner, obviously, because what we're all inspired by is the glory of the person who went through fire to win, right? There aren't many, I mean, at the very least, the people who are kind of psycho, who would love to see, someone who is very seriously hurt, those are obviously not the mainstream person that any rational corporation is trying to speak to. So you don't show that. And you also don't show that because you don't really want people to see that. Like I'm going to tell you in this video, Justin, after this knockout, this was not a quick turnaround. Oh, he's up, he's good. Everybody thinks of Justin Gaethje as this incredibly resilient guy who can take shots and whatever. And this was not that. And I want to tell you the truth about what he looked like after this knockout, how long he was unconscious for, so on and so forth. To a person like me, extremely conditioned to seeing people get, punched and all that stuff, even to people like me, when you actually see how hurt these guys are sometimes, you're like, damn, dude. Like, when you're in person, I've told this story a million times, but I'm going to keep on telling it for people who haven't heard me say it. The first time where I really saw someone really wrecked after a fight where I was like, wow, dude, that's bananas, was actually not even a full knockout. It was Derek Brunson, who was on the wrong side of getting beat up at UFC 271 against Cannonier. And dude, he was so wrecked after the fight where I was like, dude, look at him, man. Now, one more time, we are going to watch this knockout, and we're going to watch it for a specific reason because Sheath Underwear, a longtime sponsor of my channel, is a UFC official sponsor, and they got their banner plastered across the universe forever. And this is exactly why you sponsor an event like this, and this is exactly why you support an incredible company like Sheath Underwear. If you go to sheathunderwear.com and you shop, you use promo code Jesse you use promo code FIRE, you'll get an incredible discount. I always do a Jordan's giveaway. I owe you guys one for last month. I will do that. I've just been completely forgetting about it because I was going to use the C300. We'll do it in the next 6-7 days. And I'll alert the winner. So if you shop, sheathunderwear.com, use the promo code FIRE. And send me a receipt to realjesseonfire@gmail. We're going to do a Jordan's giveaway for April also, but let's watch this thing and let's pause it on Sheath.
Nice jab to the body by Max. Yep. Another hard low kick. Now it's forced him to change stances. That left leg is destroyed. Finally, in minute 25.
Bam. Look at that. Top left. Sheath underwear, the underwear of legends. Look at that, dude. The underwear of legends. That's like the best shot, dude. You know how much money these guys spend to be right there? And that's what they get, dude. They get to be the underwear of legends permanently forever in one of the most iconic moments in human history. And let's watch it again.
Shows some mortality. Look at this. Holloway just told him, stand right here. Oh, big connection late. That'll do it. With 1 second to go. Gaethje face first on the canvas. Max Holloway wins the beat.
I'm incredibly grateful to have been there for that iconic moment, and I'm sure Sheath is very grateful for sponsoring and being in the background of that iconic moment forever. So give them a look. They're an incredible company. But the worst one that I had seen up to this point was Tony Ferguson against Chandler. I literally was not sure he was going to get up, man. Like that, I mean, you guys have obviously all seen that knockout. That one was insane. It took so long for him to wake up. Like, it took so long for him to wake up. That was at 274, obviously, in Phoenix. And then in the other one that I think people would be surprised by how devastating it was Pereira after the Izzy knockout. Izzy knocked him into another dimension. Like, he couldn't sit. I mean, I actually took a video of it. If you guys have been watching my channel since then, I took a cell phone video of Pereira after that knockout, and I showed it on the channel. He was out for not only a really long time, but when he woke up, he couldn't sit. Like, he would just fall over, like just sit, fall over. And there's something about a guy like Pereira, this piece of human stone that you think of as like unbreakable, and seeing him in that state where he literally cannot sit on a stool without falling over. And they're like, okay, man, he's sitting up too fast. And, you know, they recover, obviously, but it's just this is not a game, dude. This sport is not a game. It is the highest stakes thing in the world. It not only doesn't sour me on the sport, it just makes you appreciate what these guys put on the line, and it makes me more gratitude as a viewer who's not doing that, who gets to kind of experience in the exhilaration of watching it without having to risk that happening to me personally. You know what I mean? And this Justin Gaethje knockout, that's what that was like. I mean, he like that, and I haven't heard anybody really talking about this, and I realized that yesterday when I did an appearance on the 10-7 MMA podcast with Yuzefa and Justin James. Justin James, a UFC fighter who does a podcast with my buddy Yuzefa, and we talked about that knockout, obviously, and I told them the story of what it was like to be there in person. And you know, like we showed someone scream, go crazy, whatever. It was like one of the reaction videos for, it was MMA Guru. It was MMA Guru's reaction. Yuzefa put it on, and I was like, okay, so take that reaction, double it, and then multiply it by 20,000. That's what it was like to be in there. Like, every single person lost their goddamn mind. And I personally, I almost fainted. I think I don't know if I've said that yet on the channel since I've been back. I screamed. So just think about this. If you started screaming at the top of your lungs with no kind of control over yourself or what you're doing, you're going to hit a point where your breath runs out. And if you're still yelling, you're going to pass out. You know what I mean? And that's what I did. Like, I yelled myself out because I lost control. I couldn't believe it, dude. So, as a matter of fact, I'll show you that video really quick right now. So I was originally filming this video at the end of the fight, and then the knockout happened. I lost my mind, and then I handed the phone to Gabrielle because I was like, I'm not gonna make it. Like, I'm gonna pass out. You can actually hear me say it in the background if you listen real close. But this is our cell phone video of the knockout. That's me. When what an idiot, dude. She should have just filmed me. She films me in a second.
Oh my fucking God!
That's me. You get the point. I lost my mind completely. And so when we were talking about how everybody reacted, I was like, dude, I almost passed out. I screamed so loud I went bananas. And then Justin was like, listen, dude, I'm going to be honest. I didn't like it at all. Like, I didn't like it at all. And it's funny, you know, since he said that, because he's a huge Justin Gaethje fan and a huge Gaethje supporter, and he was like, listen, dude, that knockout is going to take years off of his career, and it's going to take years off his life.
But, you know, I'll be honest, man, I wish he didn't get hit with that shot. I think that it would have been just great. It would have been just as great it going to decision and Justin losing. But that shot took years off his career. That took shots probably years off his life. And, you know, now I think a lot of people, especially the casual fan, are going to remember Justin Gaethje as the guy that got knocked out at 300.
I can respect that a lot. And there's a part of me that feels exactly like that too. You know what I mean? Like, I can't pretend, I'm not going to like retrospectively pretend like I didn't cheer and go crazy when it happened at all, because I'm not a phony weirdo like that. But I totally agree with that as like as a human being that respects these guys, especially Justin Gaethje and guys like him, dudes on his team. I mean, like, I have nothing but respect for the guys. And so that kind of talk track played right into the reality of how long Gaethje was unconscious for afterwards, which was at least 5 to 6 minutes. And like, you think 5 minutes is like, oh, 5 minutes. It's like, dude, we're not talking like was having trouble sitting up 5 minutes. I'm talking face plant unconscious for 5 minutes. All the stuff you saw Max celebrating, all that stuff, dude, he's still out, completely out. And you're looking and you're like, dude, he's still not up, man. Like, he's still not up. And the reality of what that looks like and kind of like the human anxiety that it gives you when you're there looking at it, especially if he's like, you know, a guy that you feel like, you know, I've never met Justin or anything, but like, I've watched plenty of Justin Gaethje stuff, plays golf. He's a good dude. He's a good person, which is why I anticipate watching his parents' reaction to this is probably going to be kind of gnarly. I don't, you know, again, I haven't watched it yet, but I just think it's important that people understand that, because this is what they're putting on the line, dude. You know what I mean? Like, when I say their lives are on the line, usually what I mean is their financial life, their financial future, who they are and all that. But their lives are on the line also. And so I just think it's important to acknowledge that. So I also wanted to show you guys, Kamaru Usman made some comments about the fight in general. I'll show you guys that afterwards, but let's look at Justin Gaethje's parents' reaction together for the first time. I have not seen this, so you'll get to see my face when I see their faces. All right, I'm going to make this full screen, and let's watch this thing.
Justin Gaethje's parents react to him getting knocked out. Max Holloway left Gaethje's parents heartbroken at UFC 300. While watching the fight live and recording his reaction, Sean O'Malley's coach, Tim Welch, coincidentally also captured the
Okay, so take a look. Though, like, if they're going to be in the back, that's them. So just get a look at their faces so you recognize them, because they're apparently like behind someone else.
reaction of Gaethje's parents. Here's the clip.
That's his mom. And there's his dad. Oh, his dad just dipped his head. That's his dad right there. There's his mom. Just stood back up. All right, so about 10 minutes since I just got done watching that clip. That was way heavier than I expected it to be. It could be because I was there and I know what the aftermath of that knockout actually looked like, but I don't know. It also just might be because I put myself in the position of both Justin and the parents. Like, if that was my kid in there, you know, dude, listen, I love the sport. It does nothing to dissuade my passion. See, again, it's just, again, more. People need to understand the stakes of the sport, because it just increases the fact that this is the best sport ever. Because what is on the line in these fights, dude? Like, if you have kids, imagine what it feels like when your kid gets hurt. And like hurt, you know, like the reaction that you have and the need to go like try to protect them. That doesn't go away because your kid's older. You know what I mean? And imagine your kid being right there, stretched out, the most hurt you've ever seen them, like injured, like unconscious, starched, the way that Gaethje was. And you can't go help them. You can't do anything except listen to 20,000 people more excited than they've ever been, cheering for the fact that your son is laid out like that. That was fucking heavy, dude. And then the inverse of that. Think about being Max's family in that place. at that moment just happened, and your dad is the one that just starched Justin like that, and you're listening to all these people, your dad's up on the cage, and you're like, my dad is a superhero. It's like in life, if you've only known victory, you're going to be a garbage person, you know? Like, it's just the way it is. If you just always won, you know, you grew up with a trust fund, or you're like Logan Paul, who blew up when he's 18, and he's like, oh, it's just everything I do, I just keep winning, man. I don't know what it is. It's like, you fucking crack that nut open and look, and you're going to have a hollow fucking shell, dude. You don't build from wins, dude. You build from losses. I just watched Patrick Gavia's documentary again about Dustin Poirier this morning, and it's like, that's what Dustin Poirier is, dude. And it's crazy to me that I did not have the perspective on his second and third Conor fights based on like what happened the first time, and how those were the fights. Like those were more important than the title fights in his retrospect. I guarantee, no matter what happens with this Islam fight, because those are the fights. Like the second fight where he knocked him out in Abu Dhabi, he secured his family's financial future by overcoming such an enormous, you know, obstacle that had derailed him earlier in his career. And it's like, I mean, listen, dude, in my own life, my life went from wins, you know, wins, to complete catastrophe. I've said it a million times, dude. There is a large percentage of people who, if they went through what I did, they would have eaten a bullet. Like, how do you think it would go for Logan Paul? Let's just set the stage, right? He has his exact life, right? And then him and Nina have 2 kids, and then she's pregnant with a third, and something happened to where he lost everything. I'm talking everything. All of his money and all of his prospects for how he would ever earn money ever again, right? And he just became nobody, okay? That is basically almost exactly what I went through. You know, I wasn't at quite the height that he was, but I was on the verge of that, and that is exactly where I thought I was going to. I have no idea how I'm ever going to make another dollar for the rest of my life, and I would not trade that for anything. It completely changed who I am, and I appreciate things on a level that I couldn't have before. So it's like, you can't have the glory without the devastation of the other side. But man, when you bring the family into it, on the like violent loss side, you know, it's devastating if guys lose. It's devastating. You know, Cody Garbrandt, that's a devastating loss for him at 300. Devastating. But, you know, not like physically, but career-wise, devastating. They keep on trying to get it. Like, they know he's a star. They keep on giving him it. He looks good, and then, you know, he gets derailed. It's like, I guarantee he is soul-crushed right now, of course. But the physical part like that for parents and for kids, dude, that is heavy, dude. Especially because you have the sound of cheering people, ecstatic that your family member just got devastatingly hurt. It's fucking crazy when you think about it. Man, this video got dark. So we are going to wrap it up with that. Hopefully that was not too much for anybody. Well, if it was too much, just turn the video off. But I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Peace.